What is up, denizens of the interwebs? It's Arza Chats here, coming at you with another video about the dumpster fire that is Ubisoft Entertainment. So hop in, losers. We're pointing at the fringe and laughing at them, as you should always do. Alright, the whole situation with Assassin's Creed Shadows is just continuing to fall apart into utter chaos and disarray, and it's honestly hilarious to see. The biggest part of all the news coming out right now is how one of the art directors of Assassin's Creed Shadows is out here having an absolute meltdown over Elon Musk clowning on him. In response to Assassin's Creed Shadows, Elon Musk made a simple comment: DEI kills art, which is an objectively true statement. He's not making a statement of whether or not DEI has infested Assassin's Creed Shadows. Who am I kidding? It has. It's not like that's up for debate of any kind. But the art director had to go on to say that the first thing I wanted to do was go back on X that I had deleted. First of all, I don't believe you deleted X. I wholly believe that you have it fully installed on your phone and you probably spend hours upon hours a day on it, looking to see how people praise you for doing the most bare minimum, and looking for any reason to get triggered over Elon Musk or some other person complaining about how crap your game looks. And then just tweet back. And I just took a step back. I have a mindfulness app on my phone. Now that I believe. There's nothing more cringe than having a mindfulness app on your phone. If you really need that much help, either go to therapy or maybe try yoga. I hear it helps quite a bit. And it's going to do a whole lot more than some mindfulness app that's using advertisements to trick you into thinking you're getting a little bit of help, when in reality, all you need is to grow a pair of cojones. He then continues in saying that I did a bit of mindfulness to try and explore the emotions that this tweet created. The only feeling it should have created at all was embarrassment, because that's what you truly did, is you almost certainly just embarrass yourself with the absolute joke that Assassin's Creed Shadows is and is always going to be. A little bit later, and as John F. Trent points out excellently in this article from that Park Place, in a moment of sheer hypocrisy, he accused Elon Musk of feeling hatred, while at the same time indicating he had a bunch of hateful 3-word replies he wanted to send. And he really goes to show that these guys are not the peace-loving tree huggers that they claim to be. They're just looking for the correct thing to be angry about, that doubles up as a feed for their ginormous egos and strokes their confidence. The article then continues on down here to the next relevant point, where Ubisoft claims that consultants are in no way responsible for the decisions that are taken by the creative teams in the interest of gameplay and entertainment. Now, this was a bit of an older statement, and on one hand, I do almost certainly believe it, given how much we know the culture at Ubisoft is completely corrupted and infested with this DEI all the way through. Just going back and looking at their mentorship program, where they weren't allowing men or anyone who didn't identify as a woman or non-binary join into the mentorship, it is absolutely believable that a consultancy group isn't fully behind this, but I'm almost certain that no one at Ubisoft was smart enough to even think about using a character like Yusuke, so that's where I feel like one of these consultancy groups almost certainly came up. The next relevant line in this article just comes from where, on 2 separate places, the game designer said that they had world-renowned experts, and I just want to remind you that the main expert they have is an Asian American woman whose sole focus of study is on the gay Buddha. It has nothing to do with the culture behind Japan. It is exclusively to do with a homoeroticized version of some Buddha-based tales that are basically not at all centered in reality. The article then continues down here at the very bottom, where they mention a comment from Stuttering Craig. Hail Stuttering Craig and hail Side Scrollers Podcast. They do great work every day. I recommend checking them out, especially if Hypnotic or Yellow Flash is on. Or Razorfish. Razorfish has incredible commentary during his time on Side Scrollers. And something that Stuttering Craig has said is that he has an insider who works at a big box retailer for a giant set of chain stores, a total of 900 stores. And he claims that so far, Assassin's Creed Shadows has received a total of 800 pre-orders for PlayStation and Xbox. Now, while I don't think that's fully indicative of how successful Assassin's Creed Shadows will be, it certainly is a part of the view, because we know that most games are played on Steam and computer, which is not physical based. But this definitely is a sign that Assassin's Creed Shadows is not looking too hot. And that's not a surprise one bit. When you look at the gameplay trailers, the discussions around it, then you had a trailer that came out today that reportedly is filled with Chinese-based music, and the trailer itself is filled to the brim with bugs that wouldn't have even been in the release version of Cyberpunk 2077. That's how embarrassing all of these failures are. And this just leads me over to this other article from John F. Trent on that Park Place that just compiles all their previous problems, especially where that mentorship program is concerned. John F. Trent states that there's a legal analyst, Esquire, who's claiming that it's almost certainly obvious that Ubisoft is breaking the law and are at a severe risk of being sued. And the main reason he has to justify this is currently Disney's being sued for the exact same kind of program, where they have been discriminating against men and have been discriminating by only allowing for non-binary and female-identifying people to join. And if Disney is getting sued by it and it hasn't been tossed out, Ubisoft is almost certainly not safe. This article then continues on here where Jonathan Trent just says it perfectly out loud. It's clear as day, objective as you can be, that the Esquire comments that really, because it reflects real players, then it should be a bunch of straight men. Just saying that it should be, by and large, straight men, not entirely, not wholly, mostly. And now there's diversity because some of them will be Asian. So there you go, right? Bunch of fucking dudes if you wanted to match the player base. Given the fact that these people at Ubisoft truly believe that the gaming audience is half women, and while according to some studies, it is true under a certain perspective that half of the gaming audience are women, women aren't playing games on consoles and they're not playing games on computers. They're playing mobile games that are puzzle-based, like Candy Crush or that one where you save the king from drowning in his own bathtub. They're playing games like that that aren't the kind of stuff that Ubisoft would be producing. If Ubisoft were to produce something for that market, good on them. Maybe don't spend the cost of Assassin's Creed Shadows to do it, though. And that's really all there is in this article. The final thing about this is just that he comes out and says it firmly that Ubisoft did something illegal. And hopefully, a bunch of people wake up to this fact, and maybe someone who's aggrieved just enough will actually take action against Ubisoft for their corrupt policies. Now, of course, something that should be considered on the daily whenever talking about Ubisoft is just a quick look at how their stock is doing. If you look at their 1 day, it looks like they're doing pretty good. They're back in the green for the day, looking pretty good, but if you expand it to the 5-day period, they're still at an all-time drop, going from $13 to $11.7. And if you go back to the month, it's an even steeper drop-off, with them starting over here at 17.5 and going all the way down to that same 11. And if you go to year-to-date, it gets even drastically worse, having an all-time peak at $24.5, going all the way down still to 11.7, which is just absolutely pathetic and absolutely hilarious to see, and they deserve every bit of it that they get. So, of course, none of this has surprised me whatsoever. The fact that Ubisoft continues to shoot themselves in the foot, it continues to screw everything up, and continues to act like a bunch of total cowards using mindfulness apps to get over a mean tweet from Elon Musk that wasn't even mean and had nothing to do with Ubisoft directly. It was a general statement that just loosely applied to Ubisoft. But of course, leave it to one of these race-baiting narcissists to think it's all about them, because that's all they know. They think the world is racist because they're the racists. They think the world is about them because they think it is about them. They are truly the problem. They want to be represented, not because they think it's the right thing to do, but because it makes them feel good, and that's all they care about. And let's not get it twisted. He says that the inclusion of Yusuke was because he is an ambiguous and real figure. But let's be entirely honest. The only reason Yusuke is included in this game whatsoever is because of his skin color. They are only using Yusuke because they wanted to find a way to justify putting a black protagonist in an Assassin's Creed game that takes place in Japan, when no one would have an issue with a black protagonist Assassin's Creed character if it was placed in a game that it would make sense. Why won't you give me, say, Assassin's Creed in Ethiopia during the time of Italian colonization? Why don't you give me an Assassin's Creed set in South Africa, dealing with all the problems there? You could put an Assassin's Creed game in so many different places in the world, in so many different interesting times that we haven't seen yet, and justify having a black protagonist. You don't have to put that in an Asian-based game where it doesn't make any sense, and we're causing a lot of problems with Japanese people where they have a major issue of dealing with race relations already. And this is only just stoking the fire. It's making it worse, and it's encouraging actual vitriol that is 100% Ubisoft's fault because they thought they were going to be diverse and representative, when in reality all they're doing is being insightful and being hateful, and they're causing more problems than any kind of DEI will ever solve. But you know what? They made their bed, they're going to lay in it, and by God, I'm going to enjoy watching them burn. So thanks for coming along with me. You guys have a wonderful day, and if you feel so inclined, why don't you hit that subscribe and like button? If not, I don't care. But it'd be nice if you did.